Buenas noches, profesor. Espero se encuentre muy bien. Vamos con el reto de la semana número 8. Yo elegí un artículo de la revista Harvard Business Review. Se llama Why We Glorify Overwork and Refuse to Rest. Nearly half of all US workers fail to use all their allotted vacation days. According to a recent survey from Pew Research Center, the reasons they cite include having too much to do, concern about falling behind at work, and reluctance to ask coworkers to cover their responsibilities. What's more revealing to us is what they left unsaid, and often don't recognize. No one of us want to admit that we would rather feel overwhelmed than underwhelmed. Most of us prefer being too busy to not being busy enough. When we often experience a greater sense of our own value when we are working that we do when we are not. Working is not just a way to say busy, but also to prove our worthiness to others and to ourselves. Immersion in work helps hold of feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, loneliness, sadness, and emptiness that can arise when we have time off. We dread being bored, even if we don't particularly enjoy or feel passionate about the work we do. When often considered, it is less anxiety producing than the alternatives. The result is that without the right guardrails in place, we silently collude with employers who encourage us to overwork. Workaholics, writes Brian Robinson, a psychologist and author of the book Change to the Desk, is a compulsive disorder that manifests itself through self-imposed demands and inability to regulate work habits and indulgence in work to the exclusion of the most of their life activities. It's called workaholism, precisely because it is a form of self anesthetizing anesthetizing. Uh, Whether the drug of choice is work, alcohol, drugs, the internet, video games, food, shopping, or countless other activities. The point is to escape from feelings we are determined to avoid. The irony is that putting in long and continuous hours and thinking constantly about work actually makes it harder to be fully absorbed and engaged in our jobs. Over time, it leads to the diminishing productivity, higher rates of burnout, and even to increase likelihood of mortality. A 2021 World Health Organization study found that working 55 or more hours per week compared to 35, 40, 14 hours is associated with a 35% higher risk of a stroke, and 17 higher risk of dying from heart disease. What sets workaholics apart of the forms of addictions, especially in a capitalist economy that reveres money above all else, is that it's not only socially accepted but also materially and socially rewarded. Unless we have done the self inquiry necessary to acknowledge and understand what's driving our overwork. Most of us continue to feed our addiction without even recognize we have one. But of us, Eric and Tony, have struggled through our adult lives with the compulsion to work to the exclusion of other activities. For the first decade and a half of his career, Eric it put in 12 hours day plus a 1 hour commute each way. After a series of personal challenges, we finally we finally decided to see therapist for the first time in his life. He also began a daily meditation practice and immersed himself in the literature around burnout. In 2009, while working at Gap Inc., Eric helped to create an initiative to bring the practices he has learning to his company. The first move was something called the results only work environment, permitting corporate employers to work towards results rather than pulling in a set number of hours. Eric is currently the chief people officer at Neiman Marcus, and the two of us have worked together on training leaders and employees alike to more skillfully manage their energy by getting more renewal so that they are more sustainably fully fueled. But of all his conviction and commitments, Eric still finds it is a constant challenge to resist the pressure to value work above all else in a corporate world that continues to overwhelmingly reward those who push themselves the hardest. That has been true everywhere he's ever worked, and at nearly every company with whom Tony has worked. 20 years ago, Tony founded the Energy Project in order to make a science based case to companies that inter- intermittent rest and renewal not only results in better health and greater work satisfaction for their employers, but also to more sustainable high performance and productivity. In truth, he has also advocated for the very thing he needed to himself. When it comes to our work, Tony has generated myriad rationalizations for the hours he works. He loves what he does. It doesn't feel like work. He gets great satisfaction from making a positive difference in people's lives. Despite this novel sounding explanation, work has been Tony's drug of choice. It's the most reliable way to feel sense of his own uh, worthiness and to avoid difficult emotions. At the point, partly as a lark, Tony decided to attend a Workaholics Anonymous meeting. And yes, they exist. There were four other people gathered around a basement table. A, a paltry turnout. As he was leaving, one of the participants turned to him. "Welcome to the French Resistance," he said. "Uh, there are 5 million workaholics in New York, and you have just met the only fourth who are in recovery. So, what are most effective ways to intervene if you find yourself compulsively overworking based on an experiences? We are recommend trying these strategies. Acknowledge the degree to which compulsively working is true for you. You can change what you don't notice. Ask yourself these questions. How clear and focused is my mind when you have been working long and continuous hours? How fatigued are you? What what's the impact on your mood? And what is the cost to others in your life? Be skeptical about the stories you tell yourself to rationalize your behavior. Focus on two primary commitments and sleep and exercise. This requires rhythmical expending and renewing energy. It's critical to prioritize sleeping enough hours every night to feel fully rested. Whatever that number means for you, for the vast majority of us, it is at least 7 hours. The second commitment is to get at least 20 or 30 minutes of brisk exercise during the day. We have both prioritized these two practices, and we are convinced they have been key to avoiding our burnout, even though we still struggle to limit the hours we work. Choose one activity in your life that gives you the purest enjoyment. Make it something that gives you the most freedom from your work. For Tony, it's ballroom dancing and tennis. For Eric, it's meditation and working out. Whatever you decide to do, schedule it and the designated times each week. The doing so dramatically increases the likelihood that you will make it happen. Become more aware of what you are feeling in your body, especially after you are working for extended periods of time. Humans are not designed to operate like computers at high speeds continuously for long periods of time. We are at our best when we work for no more than 90 minutes at a time and then take a rest. The body is the most reliable barometer of whatever you need to renew and refuel, but all too often we ignore its signals or override them. Given how much overwork is rewarded in our culture, it is responsible to expect some anxiety to arise when you give yourself time to rest and renew. He rated that racing back to work, see if you can simply sit a little longer with those feelings. The more you can simply observe the part of you that anxious, the more you will discover it is all of of who you are. Your worst fears about not working won't come true, and your capacity of non doing will progressively grow. When it comes to combating burnout and mitigate workaholism, even a little self care goes a long way. Bueno, en este artículo, profe, habla de que, bueno, el título dice que nosotros glorificamos el hecho de sobretrabajar y digamos que nos rehusamos al descanso. Entonces dice que primero pues como que trata de contextualizar hablando de que en Estados Unidos existe como esa cultura del sobretrabajo y que entonces dentro de esta dinámica del sobretrabajo la gente siente que debe hacerlo porque básicamente digamos no se siente bien dejando trabajo por hacer, siente que digamos cuando salen a vacaciones no descansan todos los días que deben descansar porque sienten que dejaron trabajo que no se lo deben dejar a los compañeros y digamos que es como su forma de sentirse o de mostrarse ante una sociedad su capacidad de trabajo, su capacidad de sobretrabajar es como esa forma de reconocerse a ellos mismos ante la sociedad. Entonces, eh, poniendo como en contexto eso, empieza a hablar de los problemas que trae el hecho de sobretrabajar. Entonces habla de que el sobretrabajo, eh, más allá pues de mantenerlo a uno cansado, puede generar problemas de salud. Por acá menciona unos datos que hablan de que las personas que trabajan 55 horas a la semana o más, comparados con los que trabajan 30 o 40 horas, entonces ese sobretrabajo está asociado con un 35% más de riesgos, eh, de sufrir paros cardíacos, de riesgos de tener problemas cerebrales y, y nos cuenta pues como una experiencia eh, de una persona que trabajaba, que era Eric, bueno, Eric y Tony, que digamos que durante sus primeros 10 años de experiencia laboral sobretrabajaron y poco a poco fueron reconociendo ese sobretrabajo, ellos lo llaman, lo podríamos decir como los trabajólicos, workaholics, los adictos al trabajo. Hablan que muchas personas pueden elegir pues como su adicción a las drogas, al alcohol, y hay otras que eligen la adicción al trabajo. Entonces, Empiezan a hablar de los trabajólicos, de que ellos primero reconocen que son trabajólicos, de que ellos asisten a una reunión de trabajólicos que solamente eran 4 personas y que primero el reconocerlo y luego el empezar a salirse de eso, pues les abre las perspectivas. Entonces, eh, dicen que las personas que en realidad descansan y las empresas que implementan estos sistemas de descanso en sus tiempos de trabajo, son empresas que aumentan la productividad, ¿sí? Y nos empiezan a hablar pues como de poder mantenerse activo y poder mantener su energía y nos dan algunos consejos. Entonces, por acá hablan, por ejemplo, de la importancia de dormir y hacer ejercicio. Básicamente serían dormir 7 horas al día en promedio y hacer ejercicio 20 a 30 minutos diarios. Son como la base de una buena salud y de poder mantenerse activo y con buena energía para el trabajo. Eh, Poder encontrar, digamos, actividades de esparcimiento que nos hagan sentir bien también influyen pues como en esa dinámica de la productividad. Y finalmente pues estar atentos a como a todas las señales que te da o que nos da nuestro propio cuerpo para saber o sobre todo después de estar expuestos a largos periodos de trabajo, para saber cómo contrarrestar todo esto y poder volvernos a poner o a llenarnos de energía. Básicamente eso es lo que dice el texto.